Okay, what's up, everybody? Hard for BC podcast, episode 1. I'm Connor. I'm here with my buddy Spencer.
What's up, everybody?
So basically, I'll just rattle off a few fucking questions right off the bat, shit that I'm sure most people asked me to answer during the podcast, and get these expositionary questions out of the way, so we can talk about interesting shit, you know?
Yeah.
So I started this page 2 years ago. As you guys know, I quit for a while, but I'm back on my shit now. I kind of realized oh my fucking god, this is such a goddamn waste not doing anything with 40,000 followers.
Yeah,
right?
You got that sitting in your pocket and you kind of just forgot.
Yeah,
about it.
Right. So
we haven't forgot about you at home.
Yeah, no, thank you. First of all, thank you to everyone that has stuck with me. That is super dope. Honestly, it makes me feel really good, and it makes me feel I was actually the effort was worth it. You know what I mean? But anyways,
those hours on MS Paint.
Yeah, dude, I never used MS Paint. I used Snapchat for every fucking meme I ever made, except for the first post we're gonna talk about. So the way we're structuring this is since we don't have a guest, we're basically gonna go through a bunch of memes or some of my posts and shit that I thought was funny, but also are good talking points. And we're gonna talk about some other shit as well. We might start with some other shit before we get into the memes, but
yeah,
whatever. Anyways, fucking started this account 2 years ago. Quit for a bit. Now I'm back. And, as I said, fucking, just do something meaningful. And I thought, a podcast would be a cool idea.
Yeah, and just, see where it goes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If it flops, it flops.
It's
one afternoon of our time. And
yeah.
It's, potentially not too much of your time.
Yeah, right. So, if you're listening right now, thank you so much. But, honestly, we're just winging this.
Yeah. No clue how this is.
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing at all. So anyways, we'll fucking get into it, I guess. This podcast, we're gonna try and if it works out, we're gonna try and do every other week or every couple weeks we'll come out with an episode. Honestly, I've reached out to some people already, and we have some decent guests lined up.
Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye, fucking Kendrick, all these dope fucking Gunna.
They're low key. These guys are the hardest for BC you've ever met.
They always come here and they hit me up after, and they're just dude, you run your province.
Was crazy.
Yeah,
dude.
Oh my god. Fuck 12 West, by the way. Sorry. Anyways, so what the fuck? What do you fucking want to start with?
I think one of the things we could do is we talk about what a brutal last 10 years has been for our province.
So true.
Since the Olympics, I can't think of one exciting or interesting thing that has happened in our province. I think it's just because there's so many great things about our province inherently that we just forget that.
The last 10 years, since the Olympics, have not been great. And I'm going to be the first. I'm the biggest BC patriot there is. And I'm going to be the fucking first to say that, or except you were the first to say, but fair enough, that it just sucks now. We're in a rut. Ever since the Olympics, I was at the gold medal game when Crosby scored that goal. And that was the proudest I've ever fucking been.
I remember ripping my clothes off, running out to the back lane. It was just absolutely
goated
insane.
Moment. Yeah, 100%. And, ever since we've been kind of in a slump, we just keep getting made fun of by other provinces. We got in a trade war with Alberta. That sucked.
Dude, we haven't even had the big earthquake all of our Science 9 teachers have been promising.
Yeah,
just ended for us already.
Fuck. Oh my god. Now, okay, we're not getting to the big one because we don't want to talk about the most depressing shit ever. That just sucks. But prepare for the big one. Yeah. Oh my god. Prepare for
have your earthquake kits at home. Kits. Yeah, have your earthquake kit.
Yeah. Anyways, though, Olympics, that was dope. But then right after the Olympics, we had the arguably even more dope, the riots. That sucks.
Pretty lit.
Of things that Vancouverites should have experienced, or British Columbians should have experienced by now, Stanley Cup, and the big one.
Yeah.
And lucky we haven't gotten one, but really goddamn unlucky we haven't got the other. I wasn't actually even in BC.
I'd settle for a Grey Cup, honestly.
I'd settle for a Grey Cup. I was at one when the Blue Bombers played the Lions. Did the Lions win that year? Or did the Blue Bombers
I'm going to get shot here, but I think it was the last time we won a Memorial Cup was 2008.
Okay, well, no one gives a shit about the CFL anyways, so whatever. But
yeah, I've always maintained the Lions just move out to Abbotsford or something. They don't. It's so inaccessible to go downtown. You're spending half your ticket price just getting there, paying for parking.
I know. It is, and
the cheerleaders are lit though.
All right.
Okay, sorry.
Cheerleaders are.
I didn't know there was a hot take.
I'll give. It could be a hot take. But a lot of them, I'm pretty sure.
Cameron Wake, best BC fucking export of all time.
Don't know who that is. Chase Claypool, dude. Gotta get him on the pod.
Chase
Claypool.
If Chase
you're
Claypool
watching,
sees this,
you gotta be on the goddamn pod, man.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
That'd be insane.
That would be really fucking dope. But like, think about it like as well. Like we had the riots. We didn't get a Stanley Cup, and then Squamish Music Festival was canceled. Pemberton Music Festival was canceled.
Dude, I wasn't a big like you. I know you've been to Pemby. Like I've never even been to a music festival. Like bit of a virgin in that sense. But when I heard that A Tribe Called Quest was headlining in 2017 at Pemberton,
no, dude, it was Pearl Jam in 2016. I was there.
Did I say 16, motherfucker? I said 17. A Tribe Called Quest. They just came out with their album. Whatever. Thank you for your. We made it from here. Thank you for your service.
I see.
They had Kanye, they had Kendrick, Elton John on that album. Goated album. Should have won a Grammy. And no respect.
Enough for the hot takes.
Okay, sorry.
Not really related to BC, but anyways. Okay, let's just jump into our first post.
Yeah,
we'll throw this up on screen if you're watching on YouTube, but otherwise, just go to the account and we'll explain which post it is. We can make a little interactive thing, you know. So first, like good, like the reason why we're using like posts is because they're just like really good talking points for us, and like we can like expand on them. So and we can like be funny off these posts, right? So first one. C-Bus Memes actually made this for me. I was on the train from Toronto to London when I went to Western.
Just on C-Bus Memes, that guy puts in work. I was on his TikTok
C-Bus
today.
Memes, if you're watching,
he had a full remix for Cactus Club. It was.
Do you not see that shit though about C-Bus Memes? Okay, we'll talk about this.
I guess we'll talk about C-Bus Memes later.
He may or may not be on the pod eventually, but him and VC Fairies Memes and Whistler Memes kind of trying to get like a
have you spoken
group
to
together.
Like have you met either of those guys?
I've met Whistler Memes in person. He's a really cool guy. BC Fairies Memes lives in Victoria, I think. And then C-Bus lives in North Van, but he's a good guy. Like every time I talk to him, he's like super.
It's
nice.
weird. You always hear the disclaimer for people from North Van. It's like, oh, they're from North. But he's a really good guy, dude. I promise.
Yeah, he's from North Van. Could be fucked. Deep Cove and shit like that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't even put Deep Cove on here. Where did I put North Van on this post even? I don't. Oh, you guys didn't even make it. West Van made it though.
West Van made it. Yeah.
Didn't make it as very dope, but. Very not.
There was a relevance factor involved in making this.
Yeah, right. And like when you think of Vancouver, you think Vancouver, East Van, West Van.
Trail Smoke Eaters had to be put in there.
Yeah, well, Trail Smoke Eaters is pretty cool. Like they eat smoke. Anyways, basically this post. So it's the BC Towns Dope versus Fucked post, and C-Bus Memes made this for me. So shout out to him. Fucking thank you. But a lot of people always ask me like, have you been to all these towns? Like, have you gone to all these places? Like, no, man, I haven't been to all these towns. But I've met people from these towns, and I've had a lot of experiences with them. So basically, 50% of this post came from personal experiences. Like, I don't know. I've been to Trail. Trail's cool. I've been to Hope. Hope's not that dope.
Dude, they've got a fire diner, and if you're from Hope, you know what I'm talking about.
Actually,
this diner on the side of the road. They do this open-faced turkey sandwich with gravy on it.
Okay, I'll give that a shot. Okay, I'm not gonna totally shit on Hope, but you know, I always hear like you know how in Kerrisdale there's like the legendary McDonald's.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's one. I've been to the McDonald's in Merritt, and like people from Merritt tell me that McDonald's is legendary. But I've heard that the Pemberton McDonald's after Pemberton Music Festival and the Hope McDonald's are just like goated.
Those are just the spots.
Yeah, they're just the spots, and I don't know if that's true. So if you're from Hope, fucking hit me up and tell me if that's true.
Now, when I look at this, like when you actually made this post, I had no clue this was you. I thought this was just some guy, and I was like, this guy, I think he is. Like, what is Delta doing at 0-0? Like, what makes Delta the bar against which every other town and city is measured?
Okay, good question. Absolutely fucking nothing. Delta. So like for example, like Langley. It's Langley, right? Or Gabby's, right, in Langley. I don't know if it's been closed down, but like I put Langley on there like it's a little bit better purely because they had like a pretty dope bar. Apparently, that's what everyone told me. But Delta, all I've ever heard about a Delta is we played them in hockey a bunch of times. Yeah, you guys were like totally fine, you know.
Nice enough guys.
Yeah, nice enough guys. Like I never like hated playing Delta, so like that's why Delta's in the middle, honestly. So as I said, like 50% based off personal experience and 50%.
Okay, so there's just no reason. They're just so. You know, not so irrelevant, but like they're just so, you know.
Delta's just like
they're so
there.
Lukewarm.
Yeah, very lukewarm. Yeah. And, fuck. With this post, guys, we're gonna like probably gonna shit on a lot of your towns, and I'm sorry. we're from Vancouver, and we're gonna get into why Vancouver sucks too. So don't worry. We're gonna shit on our own hometowns as well. And neither of us are even actually from BC. I was born in the UK, and he was born in Singapore. So both of us are transplants.
Yeah.
So our BC pride is not homegrown.
No,
we had to learn.
We had to come from elsewhere to appreciate just how amazing.
Exactly. So other fucking. I forgot to mention. You keep fucking cutting me off. 50% is whether their hockey, like the other 50% is whether or not their hockey teams are a bunch of dicks or not. So like, for example, Quesnel is down there in the fucking most fucked. Because when I played Quesnel, Castlegart and Quesnel, those guys showed up to provincials with fucking just blonde.
They had their own bus,
mullets,
but it was like some 70s like.
Yeah, dude. Like, have you ever seen Slapshot? You know that bus like that they take? And, yeah. It looks just like that. Yeah. But there's like a bunch of other reasons. Like if you're wondering, like I'll just like fucking throw out like a few fucking like a few like examples.
Can I interrupt you again?
Yeah. Go ahead,
so, for those of you at home keeping track, I mean, there's this weird cluster where you have City of North Vancouver, and then right beside it is Nelson and Cranbrook. Like the three of them just occupy this little grouping. I'm just curious, what the fuck, like.
Dude, same shit for Delta. Like City of. Oh, I actually did put North Vancouver. Oh, I didn't even notice. God damn.
You can't even see it, dude.
Can't even see it, dude.
So, yeah.
Like Nelson, North Vancouver, and Cranbrook, all just like random areas of BC, like together. Absolutely no reason. It was based off personal experience.
You could just say it was the model. Like we put it into an equation. That's the math.
Yeah, that's the fucking math. But like Coquitlam, for example, like they had the fake RCMP officers. Like they started that shit. Like the cardboard cutouts.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Dude. So they had to go and like
and who had
relatively fucked.
Who had during the fires? Who was it that was like get out your home?
Dude. So like I just shit on you guys already, and I'm sorry. But like Quesnel.
Oh yeah.
Dude, in the second post we talk about. I also make fun of Quesnel. Do you know how fucked up Quesnel is? We'll get to that though. The reason why, and I'm not. You guys weren't awful. You beat us in hockey, so like maybe I'm a little bit spiteful. But
I got lit up that game.
Yeah, he was a goalie. No protection there. All the boys just blamed him for the loss.
Fair enough, dude.
But there were like I don't know. I made a meme about it, but like there were like fake during like the 2018 wildfires, like the worst ones in a while, right? Because like it kind of wildfires fell off, dude.
They did. Where have you been?
Yeah, wildfires are down bad.
Where have you been? They went out to Australia for a bit. They're on a global tour.
Yeah, they're on a global tour. They left BC, man.
It's a fire band.
Yeah, we're a fire band, dude. Actually, that's because, like, I get a little bit political real quickly here. That's because Christy, throwback to her, fucking, like, it wasn't Christy, but I think she might have been the one that ended it. But, like, in the 60s or the 40s or some shit like that, BC outlawed controlled burns. Like, like native people would like, or indigenous people would go up into like their bush and
burn all the dry shit on the ground.
Burn all the dry shit.
Yeah, totally.
Right, all the kindling, right?
Best way to stop.
Best way to stop forest fires, right? And BC, of course, the white people outlawed it, which just such a spiteful decision, right? Like it's so objectively a good idea.
I'm pretty sure California has that like similar issue.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because California is just a bunch of shrubs, But anyways, I got so off topic there. It was because with Quesnel, the fake fire marshals, dude, that would like go around to houses and tell people like, yo. So fire's coming and
what do you think they do? They call their mom like, hey ma, you still got my grade A fireman costume?
Yeah, it's just like, dude, like
I need it.
What the fuck? So they would go to these houses and they would tell people, yeah, you gotta get out in the next like day or so, and then they would just go and rob the house. Like. I don't know.
Can you imagine you come back to your house and it's like nothing's been burned? You're like, oh, honey, your house is still standing. You walk in, everything's gone.
Yeah, like
that's just tough.
It's almost too much. But
that's very un-British Columbia.
Very un-British Columbia. I'm very disappointed in you, Quesnel. But like for example, like another example, like Salmon Arm.
Oh yeah.
Definitely they're in most fucked. Not so dope at all.
Not so dope.
Purely based off that goddamn fine that they put in. I made a fucking post about this too. Like $50 fine for sitting on sidewalks. Basically, just if you're homeless, you have to pay $50. I don't know, like if they ever enforced that or if like the city got so upset. I'd never like heard about the aftermath.
Imagine getting taxed for being homeless.
Yeah, dude. If you live in Vancouver, you're taxed for being homeless. We're talking pretty high and mighty here. I don't even know if Smithers is on this though. But Smithers, I wrote this down because I thought this was hilarious, and I also made a post about this. I'm kind of just going through a lot of my posts. They're great talking points, honestly. But like the mayor of Smithers, like $200,000 on a porta potty. If you're from Smithers, I never got the full story on that. So if you want to like,
you know what he did? It was the mayor's like, I need $200,000 to build a state-of-the-art porta potty. He went to a construction company, rented out, one of those plastic porta potties, and paid himself $195,600.
Yeah, very sus. Smithers mayor is sus as fuck. He's an electrical dude. Anyways, so
let's move on to the next.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on. Not gonna shit on Quinnell anymore. Feel really bad now. This one.
Are there any caveats? Are there any things that we can say nice about Quinnell? Cool name. Is Quinnell.
Is there it's like Maillardville and Coquitlam. Is Quinnell French? No, I don't know.
We don't need to speak French out here. We're not bordering Quebec.
Did you know that every province has their own francophone flag?
No, you don't.
Yeah, every province has their own.
That's disgusting. That's actually
BC's
disgusting.
one's kind of pretty, but
Quebec
it's got
has their own
shit
flag.
going on.
Why do we need?
I know every province has a francophone version of their flag, and they all have fleur-de-lis on them. Which is just like, come on, dude.
Dude, I'm
someone
so
had to pay for
anti-fleur-de-lis, just as a symbol generally. I remember buying. Where was I? I was gonna buy something, and it was like, oh, it's got the fleur-de-lis on it. And I was like, I don't want it. I just didn't want it.
Cool. Well,
that's a personal.
I'm fine with Quebec.
Quebec's fine.
Quebec is like
fleur-de-lis for me.
It's the Alberta of the East. Everyone loves to hate the Maritimes. Hate on them.
Is it was that before the bumblebee of Napoleon, the fleur-de-lis was like the upper class. Pre-French, this is pre-French Revolution. That was the the nobility, was the fleur-de-lis.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's so ubiquitous today is just,
dude, je me souviens, man, je me souviens, or whatever the fuck it is on their license
j'aime
plate.
le fromage, all the same.
Dude, no, but it's on their license. Okay, you know what?
I don't know what that means.
We just gotta goddamn. It's like we will not.
Don't let me do this. Don't let me do this.
It's like we will not forget or some shit because the French left.
The FLQ hostage crisis.
No, not the
Cuba.
FLQ. No. You're on track, but no. It's because the French Napoleon are in the 1600s, so not Napoleon. Jesus Christ, my history is off. 1600s when the French left, when the British came in and took over Upper Canada or Lower Canada, whatever the fuck, and the French just ditched a bunch of French people there, and that's why on their license plate it says Je me souviens, because it means I think it means we will not forget, and it's literally just so out of spite that the French abandoned their kin in Upper Canada.
Do you think the Quebecois have daddy issues with real France?
Well,
is that
real France always makes fun of their. Okay, we're so off topic right now. Okay, whatever. Okay, on to.
I'm starting a new podcast. It's all about dipping on the Quebecois. Yeah, that'll be coming soon. I promise.
No, we got no problem with the Quebecois. The Quebecois. Sorry, and if you go to McGill, I'm sure you love. Montreal.
I'm sure they don't. Everyone I talk to from McGill don't like the Francophones.
Okay,
there.
Dude, let's move on. So basically, this took me. I remember putting in the caption. This took me I know it's all made on Snapchat, but it took me literally an hour to make, because I just think of all this shit about BC. So they're looking.
How do you make a meme on Snapchat? Dude?
Well, I haven't even told them which one it is yet.
Yeah, first
so
tell them
it's the one. It's the one with the outline of. It's the map of BC with a bunch of quote or just fillers put into it, right? About the areas.
Yeah, it's the province map.
It's the province map, and it's the literal province map, right, or whatever the fuck. Yeah, right. Okay. I found this these are all just funny funny talking points, man. Atlin, BC's most northern town, absolutely nothing else. Have you been to Atlin?
Dude, this is the first time I'm hearing of.
Shout out to people in Atlin, man. I don't know how.
There's no one from Atlin listening.
Maybe, man. Maybe if you've been to Atlin, send me some pictures or something, dude.
We want to know what it looks like.
Well, actually, it's very beautiful. I've always wanted to go there. I'm a big BC guy, and we'll get into that later when we talk about Vancouver and all the people.
Versus
we'll talk about that later
in the podcast.
But I kind of I feel bad about this one, to be honest with you. I roast now that I think back.
What's the worst thing you said? Probably drugs, Hicks, and whack shit.
Yeah, that one's
Port Hardy.
Northern Vancouver Island.
Port Alberni's in there. I mean, that's about. Well, that's pretty much on point.
Oh my god, man! What we forgot about, dude. Okay, this if you guys recognize the names I'm about to say, you're goated. Okay, Briar and Cam. Do you remember them? The two guys that murdered those last summer or 2 summers ago.
Oh,
the two guys that murdered.
And then they ran away together.
They ran away together, and they found in Manitoba. Yeah. Like they committed suicide.
That was crazy. That was like a manhunt across.
Yeah, I actually still have I remember clipping out the newspaper. Like I saw it and I was like, this is fucking crazy.
That's nuts.
They're from Port Alberni, dude. And I remember I put on Memes BC, like people were messaging me like, yeah, I knew them and shit. And I was like, Jesus Christ. They worked at like Walmart or something. But that's not the meanest one. The worst one is like a shittier place that's name starts with Prince and it's Prince Rupert.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you live in Prince Rupert. I know for a fact that you hate it because it rains like 200 days a year. That is so shitty. But it's gorgeous when it's sunny. Prince Rupert is absolutely gorgeous when it's sunny. The 3 days a year it's actually sunny because then it's just overcast the rest.
Dude, the only time I've ever heard of like just on Prince George is, and this is true. I had like my dad's second cousin. His name is Jay Hall, and you can look this up on the local CBC. But he was a local like what do they call Hell's Angels?
Oh yeah.
He was like a local Hell's Angels guy. Ran a territory there, and then he got in T-shirt printing of all things. And when he tried to get out, I should be laughing. He got shot. Just got driven drive by. Yeah.
Like Jake Paul and Conor McGregor's buddy. You see that?
No.
Oh, dude, Jake Paul. Okay, we're not gonna get into Jake Paul. This is
I don't
not
really touch
relative
any of
to
the
BC at all.
Shit.
But you know, drive-by. Yeah, it's in the news right now, so I'm trying to be relevant. You know, I'm 21, trying to relate to the kids with Jake Paul and shit, dude.
Would you just really quickly like, if Conor McGregor and Jake Paul, or is it Logan Paul?
Jake.
They've got to have it in the contract that Conor can't like kill him. Right?
Yeah. Well, dude, like
this is a man who's like trained to kill you.
The problem with it is like for the most part, everyone wants this fight to happen, but it's like a W for Jake Paul if he pisses off Conor McGregor enough to like get him to fight him.
Conor shouldn't take the fight.
No, he shouldn't take the fight.
Just like takes away from MMA. And,
it just takes away from all of it. It's stupid.
I get in a boxing match that Jake Paul has the bigger wingspan, is like 2 weight classes heavier than him, but
he's still gonna lose.
The eye test on Conor like just tells you.
Yeah.
He's
Whatever.
Yeah,
We're getting off topic.
Cares?
Moving on. Pretty much what I want to talk about next is our time in Ontario.
Am I gonna have to read this one out?
No.
We'll just say find the tweet and then not read out the tweet.
No, okay, fine. Okay. Imagine not having sick ass mountains, dope weed, pretty much all the cool shit you could think of, and still saying Ontario is the best province. I tweeted this from Ontario.
Couldn't be you, bruh.
Couldn't be me, bruh. Fucking couldn't goddamn be me. I tweeted this from Ontario. I was miserable. I wasn't miserable. I had a good time. Western was fucking awesome. If you go to Western, shout out to you. Western's a dope ass school. But and I know this guy goes to Queens, yeah. So there's a little bit of a rivalry there. But I tweeted this from Ontario, and oh my god, if you appreciate like home and you appreciate where we're from, you just can't appreciate Ontario. It's hard. There's great things about Ontario. There's like a lot of pretty places. Toronto's a really cool city for the most part.
Yeah.
But if you've come to like love like the landscape of home, you have come to love like not being landlocked, then it just sucks, dude.
It's just ocean. Like the biggest thing is ocean.
Yeah.
And I think obviously if you're a coastal British Columbian, that comes pretty natural in the sense that it's something that you look at or you experience every day.
Yeah.
And actually, that's it. You know what's interesting is like there's so few when I think about it outside of Vancouver. There's so few coastal Vancouver communities like in numbers.
Well,
Sunshine Coast, right up to Salmon Arm, Vancouver Island.
Salmon
Arm's like inlet, so I don't even think that's not even really. I mean, it's Georgia Strait, but
whatever. I don't know. But I can't remember my BC geography on Salmon Arm, but like we've got like Bella Coola, Kitimat, I think Terrace is on the water, and then we've got all the Vancouver Island towns like Qualicum Beach, Campbell River.
But I think that even if you're from the interior, let's say you're from Pemby or just for any Summerland or whatever, any place in the interior, and you go to Ontario, I mean the bigger difference, like we could sit here and say it's the ocean or the landscape, but it's the people, it's the vibe, it's the overall culture of Ontario that is just so it's so different, man.
It's so different. Like I people like don't really, and I'm not. We're not trying to like say there's like some fundamental difference between Ontario people and British Columbian people. Like it's not. We're all Canadian. It's not that different.
I think we could make the argument though is that even though we don't, British Columbian like identity is different than Canadian identity. Like I would argue, just because Ontario feels more American, we're more Canadian.
Yeah, 100%. Well, like I would even like counter that with saying like we are like by default more American or more Canadian, purely based off like our city and our province just feeling more Canadian and like not being as Americanized. But like, so that, especially in the coastal regions, like we have our completely own identity. Like the interior is a bit different. They're a little more conservative. You know, they kind of relate more to the rest of Canada or just to the west. Like,
Alberta.
Yeah, when you talk about like Western alienation, right? Like they never really mention BC. They always talk about Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Because those are like they always vote in blocks, right, with conservatives, right?
Yeah, those are.
So like as you get further into the interior of BC and into northern BC, like it becomes a little bit more like that. But especially on the coast, man, like I'm sure you've all heard of like Cascadia, the Cascadian corridor, right? Like the proposed country and like the Cascadian culture in itself,
excited,
right?
Bro, talking about that.
Yeah, okay, we're not gonna get into that today, but I am a big proponent of Cascadia, dude.
Very
big Cascadia, like Alaska. Fucking
we bring in
BC,
Berta. We gotta
bring in Berta. Like we can
roast Berta in a moment. We gotta bring in Berta.
We can reel them in
and get her straight
Washington,
down
Oregon, and California, dude. That would be the most goated country of all time.
Unbelievable. And we throw in Turks and
back with some technical difficulties. We are second part of the podcast. Whatever we were talking about, Cam and Briar. Then we were talking about I don't even fucking know what we were talking about. Whatever. This is like 5 minutes after our
we've
camera
had a little bit of a
fucking crapped out. Whatever. Let's just move on to the next one because like we've shit on all these places and we gotta shit on Vancouver. Yeah. Man. So third meme, if you're following along and you're not watching on YouTube, interior northern BC and Vancouver Island like fucking like this and. The caption is hating on Vancouver but flexing it on Instagram and Snapchat when you visit. Okay, I made this meme and I was like, I actually genuinely like found that hilarious and like find it really funny that people like when they're not from here like, or like from Vancouver.
Well, it's like people from Coquitlam, but they put YVR. In
I made so many posts about that. It's just like Lower Mainland memes before he quit as well. Made a really funny post. It was like I reposted. It was like Mr. Worldwide.
That's where I'm getting it from.
Says YVR. yeah, that's fucking funny. But okay, we want to talk about like Vancouver being a utopia, right? Like being this like weird place that especially when we say like Vancouver, we're talking about the west side of Vancouver and downtown without like excluding like the east side. Or East
we're taking the most exclusive of Vancouver that you can.
Like the shittiest part in a way, right? Like when the reason we call it a utopia is because I grew up in this area of Vancouver and like it is you never get exposed to like anything like real in life, right? Like it is so the way it's been built and the way it's been structured is that like the disparity between everyone else and those people is fucking ridiculous. And it's bred this like smugness, and especially in downtown. And I have a big problem with like especially people that like there's like downtown kids. Like for people that grew up in Vancouver, if you like grew up in East Van or the West Side, you like never really go downtown when you're younger.
No,
right?
Your parents just don't let you.
There's downtown kids that like grew up in downtown and went to like King George or whatever, right? Yeah. But for the most part, like there's not like as many kids downtown, and so like my biggest problem is like when people are from Toronto and shit or like from like elsewhere in the Lower Mainland and they move to Vancouver and they call themselves Vancouverites, but they like live downtown and it's like bred this like smugness in the city where like no one goes anywhere else but Vancouver. Like they think.
This is it. Like you've got family members or parents who are born and raised in Vancouver and they don't see any of the
like
province.
The rest of the province.
It's insane. We have this like luxury enclave in the middle of this province that could be it might as well be in Japan. And
it's fucking ridiculous. It is too much. And like it's like you people hike Quarry Rock or like Eagle Bluffs.
They do the Chief one time. They're like hashtag explore BC.
Hashtag explore BC. It's like why? I don't understand. And then you like go to the Explore BC hashtag and you see like real places like Boya Lakes. I don't know if you've ever been to Boya Lakes.
I've seen photos.
The Bora Bora of the North.
Incredible.
Dude, goated, man. So beautiful. Probably honestly, in my opinion, the most beautiful and underrated area in all of the province. So if you're from around Boya Lakes, dude, you are so goddamn lucky. But everyone in Vancouver like thinks that they have like I think in Victoria too, or like none of us are from Victoria, so like we don't really know what's going on like the inner workings of the city. But
I back Victoria. Like
I back Victoria too. I like Victoria, man. But I don't know anything about like the
The vibe.
The vibe, right? It's
yeah.
like, but people in Vancouver think that they have like the best in BC. Like they have like the Coast Mountains. They've got like Harvey, Brunswick, Grouse, Cyber, Seymour,
Kitts Beach, and then that's everything you could ever.
And that's all you ever need, right? And like to a certain extent, I understand that, but like we live in a massive province. Like it is bigger than most countries, right? Like I would say like bigger than like at least 60% of countries in the world, totally. Right? And no one travels it, right? Like no one travels it, and I understand like completely, and especially when I meet people. And my favorite part about this account is that like I've been able to like converse and like meet people from other places in the province and like hear their perspectives of what it's like living in BC. And like a big goddamn problem is that like the disparity and like the differences between Vancouverites and everyone else,
in experience,
right?
like
in experience,
in
right? Yeah. And I understand why they hate us. I totally get it. Honestly, I kind of hate us too. It's fucking smug. It's fucking smug.
It's just an elitism. And I think like this meme doesn't it doesn't inherently like talk about that, but it's the takeaway if you're from Vancouver and you see this meme.
Yeah.
And you're kind of it's like haha yeah it's Vancouver Island. Cocks, like whatever. Yeah, right. Yeah. But shout out to Vancouver Island though. I love the island. Like, anyone who goes over to Vancouver Island pretty frequently, like just knows what a cool place that is.
Yeah, and so what time are we at? 35 minutes.
We're 35 minutes.
Right. So we'll spend the last 10 minutes talk. What'd you say?
Nothing. Yeah, let's motor here. I just love this
motor. Okay, all right. Let's talk about the last meme here. So we might get a little political here, but we're not. We're going to remain very neutral. We don't want our political opinions to be forced on anyone. We just want to talk about like what I think is really funny about this, and by default, it's political. It's the Albertans when the rest of Canada use kilometers per hour instead of pipeline spills per oil sands. And the reason why like we know that this is like kind of a loaded post is for example, you forgot
the best part. You've yeed your last haw.
Yeah, right. Like oh my god, man. But for the most part, I gotta like I put in the caption like I'm gonna delete any political comment, because it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
But it's like Albertans and Conservatives, they got so goddamn pissed off at me for posting this, and it's so lighthearted. In the caption, I'm like, this is lighthearted. I don't think I'm stepping on anyone's toes. And then I ran this one by my Albertan roommate. I think I did at least. In first year and second year, super dope guy. But he's from Calgary, so that's sus. But he's a pretty cool dude. But I ran this by him and he's like, yeah, it's funny. But I got so much hate. I had to post it. I had to post one that was like shitting on BC. Like 5 minutes later, I made one after I posted this. Got so many hate comments for it. And the reason why is because it was about like it alluded to the pipeline, because that was during I posted this during the trade war, right?
Yeah.
And it was alluding to the and we're not talking about TMX. We're talking about Coastal GasLink. But those equally as fucked. But like the issues around them. But like a big problem like that we've seen arise, right, is that like pipeline, like the word pipeline has become like so weaponized, right? Like it has become like such a loaded word, especially in BC.
It's just like if it's the same thing when people talk about the wall in the United States. Not that they're the same issue at all. Yeah. But it's a word that evokes an incredibly strong emotional response if you're someone who has that personal or emotional buy-in to either side of the cause.
Yeah.
And I think we could, it definitely merits talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we think it's important.
The meme is funny because it's always fun to make fun of Albertans and peg them as hicks. I mean, the people I've met from Calgary just are fantastic. I got 2 sets of cousins in Edmonton. I mean, it's not like they're not aliens. They're not, like completely different people.
They're not.
So we don't want to say that, but it is a ton of fun taking the piss out of Albertans.
Yeah.
And on
because they're just like, and I we get made fun of a lot, right? And a big problem that I have, especially like as I've gotten older, and I'll touch on this very briefly, but like Trudeau, when he was running for office in 2015, he made a political ad, and it was my second time voting, or my first time voting. My first time voting, and I remember he like made this ad, and he was like, "I lived in BC, I worked in BC, I know what BC needs." And I remember I voted Liberal, and it's so long ago now, I don't mind like exposing what I voted for in like 2 elections ago. Like I was the first time I'd ever felt like disappointed and like let down, right? Because the only other prime minister ever from BC was Kim Campbell, and like objectively the worst prime minister in Canadian history, right? Like not because she was a woman, but
she was a caretaker PM.
Yeah, right. Like it was not her fault, but and she got so much hate. She was the only other. I think she's the only other prime minister in like the last like 50 years that was from BC. I could be wrong, but
generally like Ottawa could give less of a shit.
Because we vote with them.
And we don't make problems for the national government the way that and not to say that like other provinces make problems, but they do. And we get very much less.
We can get into equalization payments and all that stuff, but we won't. It's just a very like contentious issue, this pipeline, right? Especially Coastal GasLink, right? Because of the Wet'suwet'en people. But this has been going on for a while, right? Like the whole trade war was because of Coastal GasLink, right? Or was it because of TMX? It doesn't matter.
It's because they needed to force through the pipeline to get their oil out.
Yeah, and they were threatening us.
They're selling oil at a discount to the US. That's a big problem. And for us now, we're living in a world where like, we do want to talk about this, but we also have to understand that in a post-COVID world, oil demand never recovers, and oil prices as a result never really recover. So the economic sense in building this pipeline, while it still may be there, we haven't done the maths, obviously. It just becomes a little bit different.
Yeah, and that's like, and I'm not trying to take the piss out of Albertans for that, right? Like it's just especially, and I don't know, because I'm a poli-sci student, right? So like I'm like pretty like interested in provincial politics, right? But especially if you're like kind of well versed, it definitely, you know, if you look into the nitty gritty, things are different. But it definitely feels, especially after the trade war, right? Like Horgan was like, we're not putting this. It's just we're harboring all the risk here, right? And we're getting none of the reward. And Trudeau, who's this, you know, we're not going to get into that, but who was soft on that issue, didn't stand up for us, right? And didn't say like they have just as much a right to say that they don't want to harbor this risk as Alberta has a right to say that they need this pipeline.
And then it became this negotiation by negotiation, talking to the individual stakeholders, the individual First Nations communities that are, you know, that make part, you know, make that territorial line that the pipeline is going to go through to Kitimat. And you have elected band councils that, you know, for the most part pretty much agreed. That they agreed, right? They signed off and they agreed.
Well, you know, certain have, certain haven't, but for the most part, it's like the Wet'suwet'en. I don't know. I don't want to.
We don't have to get into specifics because we don't know the exact.
And before we say anything else about this pipeline, we should probably acknowledge that we're filming and recording this on unceded Indigenous territory.
Dude,
we forgot
even in our
to do
practice
that.
runs,
we did that every time in our practice runs, and we forgot to do it this time. So Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish, we're on their unceded territory, and we want to acknowledge that. We also want to acknowledge that, like, we're
two Caucasian
dudes, right? And we're young, right? And we both come from decent backgrounds, and not to say that our opinions aren't valid, but we want to acknowledge that, right? And
just acknowledging your privilege goes. Just it doesn't do anything, but it helps to frame our opinions.
Yeah.
And what I mean is what I was trying to get the heart at just by mentioning the tribal councils was that the heart of, and this is, let me know if I've got this wrong, right? But the heart of the discontent, right, is the framework within which these elected bound councils operate, and the whole point being that you have hereditary leaders that believe it's an illegitimate system
because it was imposed by white people.
It was imposed by the
so it's a complex conundrum, right? Like who to listen to, right?
Exactly.
It like at its essence, it's an illegitimate form of government because it was imposed by an outside force.
Yeah.
Right. But at this point, like the defendants of that will be like, at this point, it's like, dude, you've been using it for 300 years or whatever, or 200 years. So why has it become a deal now? And that's what some people say. And then other people say, like, oh, for the most part, that, like, we've never had an issue like this before, right? Where we should stand up to like colonialist impositions, right?
Yeah.
So it's so complicated.
I think what it boils down to in terms of the positives for me is the cross-country mobilization of both sympathists and the broader First Nations community.
I think that's like really
they came
important.
together and came together to protest against this pipeline for very valid reasons, and showed that they can be a really big force in civil, you know, and a civil discussion and democratic, whatever you want to call it, you know, engagement.
100%. It shows the world, I guess, but it also shows like people in the country that, you know, don't pay attention to politics, that from a problem in a tiny little area of BC can be felt and can be advocated for in Montreal, in St. John's, in Halifax, in Winnipeg, right? Like there was protests all over the country, right? And I think regardless of your opinion on the situation, and we won't go into whether or not we're pro or anti-pipeline, right? All we'll say is that we're pretty progressive guys, but
it could be a new slogan. We're pretty progressive guys.
We're pretty progressive dudes, you know? It's pretty cool. But like it was whether or not you agree with it or not, it should make you proud, or it should incite some sort of emotion in you.
Yeah, I think the thing that pisses me off the most is when people, and specifically people who are pro pipeline, when they're not, instead of like trying to listen and hear out these very valid arguments that the opponents have, they attack the character of the protesters of the First Nations communities, and they attack their lifestyles. They attack them as people.
100%.
And instead of understanding the specific flashpoint issue that they're using.
Yeah, but we can't, like, we don't want to, so, like...
And that's a small group of people.
Yeah.
I just saying, like, of all of it, like, that's the ugliest part for me.
And we're not, as we said, we're very progressive guys, so we don't want to, like, I don't think I'm stepping on any toes here, but I also want to acknowledge the conservative point of view, right? Like we need this pipeline, and if anything, we need this pipeline to invest in green energy, right? This is the conservative point of view, right?
We need to raise the money to make that.
It doesn't
switch.
come from nowhere, right?
I totally agree, and I would, if you told me that there's 100% safe way and everybody's on board and it doesn't cause any issues of getting our oil in the markets in Asia, I'm 100% for it. But we've hit these snags.
And they're not even snags. These are like deep, like snags that would be even like too light to put. These are like deep seated like colonial issues.
And it strikes at the heart of how we incorporate First Nations people. and Indigenous people in our political and economic processes.
Indeed.
So we could do more on terms of like how we might suggest that we change the frameworks within which these legal apparatuses have been made and work to make it work better.
Yeah.
But then you get into you get into territory that I'm just not educated enough to
right.
So maybe we leave that there.
So we'll leave it there, and like I hope if you're conservative that you don't hate us for we just want to acknowledge, like I think it's probably pretty obvious that I'm not going to speak for Spencer, but it's pretty obvious that I'm not a conservative. I remember I posted a pipeline meme and oh my fucking god, dude, this one shit. I compared the pipeline to disarming a nuclear bomb, and then I said it was almost as bad as yoga on the bridge.
Oh god.
And yoga on the bridge was Christy Clark's idea for on National Aboriginal Day or International Aboriginal Day, whatever the fuck it was. She wanted to celebrate National Yoga Day instead and close down the Lionsgate Bridge.
It's such an absurd thing to do.
Close down the Lionsgate Bridge at midday on like a Friday or a Saturday.
You think Chip Wilson had anything to do with that?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but he was gonna supply the yoga mats. I compared that, and this girl got so fucking mad at me, dude. Oh my god, she commented like the comment's still there, you can go find it, but it was on the most recent pipeline meme. But she commented like, yeah, you compared it to yoga on the bridge, that's all we need to know about your position. And then I responded like, cool it, like Hannah, fucking cool it over there. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm gonna blur out the name. We'll bleep out the name, but you could find the account.
How many millions of bleeps are there? Like, you know what I mean? They're never gonna find the one bleep.
Yeah, right. So no big deal. But I was like, fucking cool it over there, dude. And then she like was DMing me.
You don't want to tell bleeps to cool it. You don't want to tell them to go nuts. The last thing you can do.
Yeah, like she's telling me, like, she's so mad at me. She's like comparing me to Ben Shapiro and shit. I'm like, dude, like, calm the fuck down. Like I'm like, everything I've ever done on this account is like liberal as fuck.
Yeah.
And so I post one pipeline meme and she's like, this guy's a conservative.
What's interesting is that it's not the pipeline and like those kinds of things. Like, it's not even it doesn't have to be an inherently conservative viewpoint. I mean, it's subjective depending on who you are. I mean, if you're in Albertan and you want to sell your oil for more money, so you can fund social programs. Yeah. Is that a conservative viewpoint?
No, it's not. It's just the needs of Alberta. And then we can get into
we're lucky. Yeah, I mean, we're lucky in Canada. We don't have in Canada, like, we're all pro-abortion. Like, we don't even have that conversation doesn't have to happen. We're all pro-homosexual marriage. Like, that conversation doesn't happen. I mean, in modern Canada, in today's Canada, the one that we are familiar with.
We're familiar
with. And obviously it's different in the States. We have those, culture war flashpoints where it's like, you have to deny climate change. You have to be pro-life. You have to be these kinds of things.
Conservatism in the U.S. is a little bit more like cut and dry, right?
Yeah,
like with,
and it
like,
becomes so much more
certain loaded viewpoints that you must have to like qualify as a conservative. It's not like that in Canada. We're very lucky like that. But sometimes we make it and a big problem I have with the left, right, is sometimes we make it feel like that, right? Like our loaded viewpoint that you must have if you're conservative in Canada kind of sometimes feels like, whether or not it's true or not, kind of feels like sometimes is like, if you're conservative, you got to be goddamn pro pipeline, right? Or like pro oil, right?
Sure, and that's I think the oil aspect is because Alberta is our most conservative province. We had a prime minister for 10 years who's from Calgary, and so that tracks. Yeah. Now, how do we pull this into like a broader idea of BC and what we're trying to do in this podcast? And I think you should talk a little bit about this.
Okay, so
and
like,
in terms of like, what is it like? What are we missing in terms of BC identity? But then turning that BC identity into like
a positive,
something more positive, and like because instead of being more divisive in terms of like coastal versus interior or along other lines. Yeah. Where does it become?
So because we're at 50 minutes now, right? So we'll wrap this up, but essentially, and this like kind of is, I should have maybe talked about this more at the beginning too, but this is good to end on. When I started this account, all I wanted to do was like instill like the same sense of like pride in where I'm from, because I've been all over Canada, and like when you say you're from Vancouver, you get people roll their eyes or like but when I started to go to Ontario a lot for university, I started to say I was British Columbian first, right, instead of Vancouver, right, because I became really proud of being from the most western province. We're so disconnected from the rest of the country, right, and no one ever talks about it. Like everyone always talks about Alberta being the most disconnected, right, and I understand that, and there's evidence for that, but the feeling itself, right, and I think a problem that like some people sometimes don't feel like they're the most disconnected is because they don't think about it enough, and they don't think about the policies, because we, BC typically votes with Ottawa, right, or votes with Ontario, right, so they discount us because they don't need our votes, right, they rarely come out here because they don't need our votes, they know who they're voting for,
right?
We
don't even really have the population either.
No, we don't. So, like, we're a smaller population, we're not the smallest by any means, but we're one of the biggest provinces, right, we're third biggest province, and we if anything, all I want with this podcast and when I started this account was to like instill the same sense of pride, not some like radical, when I say pride, I don't want you to immediately think like nationalism, right, or like silly nationalism, and that's what I think is silly about Alberta, right, like with the whole Wexit movement. But like this just like this like wholesome pride for where we're from. We're such like not this up the ass like like we're from the most beautiful province, like fuck you, but more like wow, like we should really appreciate where we are and how lucky we are to be here and how diverse our province is. Like I remember when I posted the most recent thing on my page, I didn't know this, but like 1 in 10 British Columbians is of South Asian ancestry. I didn't know that. I could have assumed that maybe, but like it's still like fascinating to like know that 1 in 10, right? And sometimes people think of Northern BC as only white people, right? But it's actually, our province is much more diverse than you think, and it makes me really proud that like since we're on the Pacific Coast, people choose to come to Vancouver, right? And that makes me really proud.
Crazily globalized province in terms of your demographics, and if there's one thing you want to. And also, we're gonna get a lot of feedback from you guys if you took the time to listen to this.
Yeah, thank you if you've gotten this far.
Yeah, and if you got this far, like,
thank you so much.
That's amazing. And I think if there's like a final like hope, obviously you moving forward, you want to do some interviews.
Yeah,
right?
I want to do some interviews. If you stick with us, we have some pretty cool guests that want to do this. So if you stick with us, and if you want to see, like, I understand that the first podcast is probably going to be the hardest one to listen to. It's just me and my buddy, chatting. Right? Yeah. But we have some really cool guests lined up, and if you stick with us, I promise that I will put in the work to like make it really good for you guys. So thank you so much for listening. Please, if you're from, I don't know if I don't think anyone from outside of BC is probably listening to this, but if you're a proud British Columbian, if you're happy to be from here, fucking like toss down a fucking like, or like give us some fucking feedback, right? And tell me how to make this
something
better.
You hated, let us know.
Yeah, tell me how to make this better, because like all I want to do is make us like proud of where we're from, like purely based off how disconnected I feel from the rest of the country, right? And maybe we don't even need to be a part. Like I'm not saying like officially, I just mean like we don't even need to feel Canadian. We could feel British Columbian first, right? A part of our provincial community. So thank you so much, Spencer. Fucking thanks for coming. My buddy like really helped me out here. But thanks so much, and fucking have a good one, guys.
Yeah,
thanks so much. Art from BC, baby.